Alright, chapter 6, we're on page 69. Some ancient things stirred in Kino. So, as I've said before, from this moment on he's starting to become very animalistic, very natural, very beast-like rather than human. 70, we've got the music of the pearl was triumphant in Kino's head and the quiet melody of the family underlay it. So we've still got a little bit of family, it's just a lot weaker at the moment because the pearl is predominant, or the pearl is dominant rather. Alright, so this is a really key section. I don't know how quotable it is for the purpose of an essay, but it tells us all about good, evil, and more. So he has kind of, at this point we feel that he has good intent, like he wants good things, but that he's getting evil outcomes. So he looks into the pearl for a vision of his future. He looks to see, the success of Coyotito, but he says his little baby, but instead he sees him writhing in pain after the doctor gave him things. He thinks of his rifle, and instead he sees the man that he's killed, and so forth. So it's pretty clear cut, I think. Top of 74 is describing the trackers, and it's another animal metaphor. It says that they were as sensitive as hounds. So everything's becoming increasingly animalistic in the way it's described, just so you can see it better. Top of page 74 there, animal metaphor. Halfway down 76, a little bit more, and Kino ran for the high place, as nearly as all animals do when they are pursued. So again, another animal metaphor. And we get quite a detailed and long explanation of the watering hole and the sorts of animals that go there, just to really even more further drive home the point that we're at an animal stage. On 77, Oh, the music of evil sang loud in Kino's head now. It sang with the whine of heat and with the dry ringing of snake rattles. So evil music is coming back. So he still has his access to his songs, but they're becoming increasingly twisted or strange or damaged, or however you want to perceive that. 78, he looked then for weaknesses in her face, for fear or irresolution, and there was none. Her eyes were very bright. He shrugged his shoulders and helplessly then, but he had taken strength from her. So here we finally see the mixture of man and woman, and we can see that Juana also gives power, gives strength to Kino rather. Moving on, top of 81, they were little more than dots scurrying. They were little more than dots or scurrying ants, and behind them a larger ant. So another nature motif element. And so again, we recall at this point his reference to ants earlier in, I believe, the first chapter, where the ants were killing one another. And then a nice little one, top of 80, I shouldn't go backwards, but the little pools were places of life because of the water, and places of killing because of the water too. So here we have juxtaposed life and death, which is a nice touch. So again, it's foreshadowing as well, I should probably add that in, but he's foreshadowing that this is a place of both life and death, because that's where the predators come to hunt, and it's also where the prey come to drink. And in this case, we're trying to work out who is the prey and who is the hunter in this situation. Bottom of 83, we have colonialism, which I've misspelled there. And this is colonialism because Kino sheds his white clothes, which obviously are a product of the colonial country, and his dark skin is finally being embraced, and it's important because in the night sky he cannot be seen. On 84, Juana whispered her combination of prayer and magic, her Hail Marys and her ancient intercession against the black inhuman things. So we've got a mixture of the Aztecian religion, or the more ancient, long-lasting religion, and the Catholic religion. Bottom of 84, and Kino's own music was in his head, the music of the enemy, low and pulsing, nearly asleep. So we take this again to be foreshadowing that someone or something is going to die. The music is barely alive, he's keeping it quiet, I guess. And Kino kept silently as a shadow down the smooth mountain face. So that's a metaphor again, as silently as shadow down the smooth mountain face. So he's like a predator hunting its prey. 88 we are at. They seem to carry 2 towers of darkness with them. So again, the dark motif has come back. This is after Coyotito has been killed, and they are returning to town. And people almost find them irrecognizable. She was as remote and removed as heaven. So that's a nice metaphor, and nice religious metaphor, in fact, to show just how different they are. They carried pillars of black fear about them. So again, darkness is all around them. And again, we could probably contrast this against earlier descriptions of the town where we had light pouring out of houses, and now we have darkness. And probably the darkness of being in the bushes and being when Kino killed the man, we see a nice contrast, and now darkness has won out and light has been extinguished from their life. Top of 89, in Kino's ears the song of the family was as fierce as a cry. He was immune and terrible, and his song had become a battle cry. And I'm also going to draw an incomplete family circle, like we've been drawing up until now, even though it doesn't make sense because their family is 3 members, but still works. Evil faces peered from into his eyes, and he saw the light of burning. Evil faces peered from it into his eyes, and he saw the light of burning. So again, light imagery, and also the imagery of evil is clear here. And Kino heard the music of the pearl, distorted and insane. So now, again, like I said before, the music's kind of gone twisted and weird. The waving branches of the algae called it and beckoned to it. So this is the pearl returning back to its native, where it belongs, I guess. Last page. Above the surface of the water was a green mirror, which is a metaphor. A crab scampering over the bottom raised a little cloud of sand, and when it settled, the pearl was gone. So that's another animal nature motif, and it's sort of nature returning nature. And the music of the pearl drifted to a whimper and disappeared. So he's kind of almost got all of his motifs all in one in the last little closing section. And we see this is the end of the pearl, and we see why this has been a fable and what it's been trying to teach us about life, which is that greed will consume your life. Great, thank you.